Hello fellow CIA operatives. So I decided to make a video, basically a rant of stuff that I've been holding in for so long. Some of the things that I've seen just boggle my mind. I've been seeing a lot of comments on YouTube, on Facebook, on different forums, and these comments are basically aimed because of the whole NATO UN intervention in Libya. Now I want to start off by saying I am not against anybody who is against the intervention as an intervention per se. The whole, if a country should intervene in another country's internal affair, or if the international community should intervene in an internal affair of a country, that is a very legitimate debate. It's a very legitimate discussion to have. But in order to have the discussion, you have to come with it, not just an open mind, but you also have to come with some sanity. I've just heard some things, and I've seen some things people have said that just makes it sort of obvious to me that I can't discuss this with them. Because if you're gonna have this perception, then there's no use in arguing. That's what this rant is about. Right now I'm gonna have some things that I've seen frequently and address those issues. Number one, these so-called rebels. They're trying to destroy their country, these so-called rebel traitors. So-called rebels. So-called rebels. What do you mean so-called rebels? What is up with this whole rebels in parentheses? Like, that I don't understand. Because I know for a fact you don't mean that they're not rebels, they're freedom fighters, or when people put rebels in parentheses, they mean that they're just, I don't know. Let me play devil's advocate here. And let's assume that every single person who was fighting against Gaddafi in Libya was trained by the CIA. Let's assume that. Let's go ahead and go with that. In fact, let's say that they're trained by the CIA and the Al-Qaeda. This is what the Libyan state TV is claiming. Why are you still calling them rebels? That I don't understand. Am I missing something here? Are they unicorns? What are they if they're not rebels? If they're not rebels or freedom fighters or revolutionaries, what are they? Let's see what dictionary.com has to say about the word rebel. A rebel, a person who refuses allegiance to, resists, or rises in arms against the government or ruler of his or her country. Now, unless you're going to say that the thousands of people who are fighting against Gaddafi aren't Libyan at all, that they're from Afghanistan, or that they're from I don't know where. If you're gonna say that, then you can put rebels in quotation marks. But they're all Libyan. Regardless if they're trained by the CIA, regardless if they're trained by Al-Qaeda, they're Libyan. So they are rebels, or freedom fighters, or whatever. Stop putting rebels in quotations. It really looks like you're stupid. Number two. There's so many things about Libya that you do not know, that the government has been hiding from you. The mainstream media has been hiding from you. That things are being hidden from them. That the government in the East, that the newly formed government, that the Libyan revolutionaries and Libyan rebels, I'm just going to call them rebels because rebels has two syllables and it's easier. So the Libyan rebels, that as if they're hiding stuff from you. And then it comes to people like Cynthia McKinney, like this Lizzie Crocker lady, going on fact-finding missions in Libya. Like, really, you're gonna think you're gonna go to Tripoli on a fact-finding mission? Good luck. What is a fact-finding mission? I'm 100% for fact-finding missions. If you want to have a fact-finding mission to see whether or not NATO has been bombing civilians, whether or not NATO has been crossing their boundaries in their pledge to protect, as I say, protect civilians, that's, go for it. Go. I'm totally cool with that. If you find something, it should be charged. This is justice. But to go to Tripoli by yourself, you don't have a translator with you. You're not allowed to go wherever you want. You're only allowed to go where the Libyan government takes you, and with the Libyan government translator. Like, seriously, if you're in the medical field, if you're a doctor, and you have a patient who's Mexican, who only speaks Spanish, and a family member, you're supposed to bring in a translator, because you might tell something, you want to say something to the patient, but the family member might want to twist the words, either to sugarcoat it or not sugarcoat it, or not say things. You have to have your own translator, and you have to be able to go wherever you want. This is an honest question that I want people to ask. Cynthia McKinney, these Lizzie Crocker, all these people, even the media. When the media says something, ask them, were you able to go anywhere you wanted in Tripoli alone? Why not? Why is the government closing the internet in Tripoli? Why is the internet closed? What purpose is there for having the internet closed in Tripoli? Internet ain't closed in Benghazi at all. Internet ain't closed nowhere except in Tripoli and government controlled areas. So who's hiding truths? It's very easy to claim certain things when you're not looking at the big picture of what's going on, what's really going on. Because I'm sorry to say, even the mainstream media isn't covering everything that's been coming out of Libya. So nowadays, all I really say is please go talk to a Libyan. Like really, talk to a Libyan. And if that Libyan happens to be pro-Gaddafi, just go with it. I'm honestly willing to take that risk to tell people to go talk to a Libyan. Because the chances you find a pro-Gaddafi Libyan is so low. I'm sorry to say. The chance you find a pro-Gaddafi Libyan is so low. I'm telling you, just go talk to a Libyan about the history of Libya, about Gaddafi and everything. Point number 3.
Oh, protesters were killed. Gaddafi wouldn't kill protesters. Why would he kill protesters? That doesn't make any sense. If you kill protesters, then everybody's gonna get angry. It's the CIA. No protesters were ever killed in Libya. Gaddafi wouldn't kill his own people. His own people love Gaddafi. That's insane. Gaddafi, he made Libya the highest GDP per capita in Africa. Why would people protest him?
Top GDP in Africa? Are you kidding me? Who cares? Honestly, who cares?
It's Africa.
If you're gonna have that attitude that people in Libya have the top GDP, and why are they protesting? People have a right to protest. You don't think they have a right to protest? If you have that mentality, why are you protesting in the United States? Why are you complaining about what NATO does? America is the richest country in the world. Why are you complaining about anything? Like it's an insult when you say, people say things like that. Libya is this, has the top GDP per capita, and free healthcare and free education. Let me tell you something, just because something's free doesn't mean it's good. Do you really think that this is the first time people have tried to protest Gaddafi? In 1976, students decided to protest against Gaddafi all over Libya. This was just a universal thing because people saw this guy who just came in, who we used to support, is crazy. This guy is a lunatic. So the students decided to protest him because they realized after him ruling the country for the 7 years, this guy is driving the country into the dirt. So students, not military, not big corporations, not the older generation, students. These are students, college students. So students decided to get together, organize protests, at the schools that, we want changes. These rules that Gaddafi is making are horrible. They make no sense. I'll give you one guess what happened. And the student leaders were rounded up all over the country and hung on public television in public squares and at the schools. But that's not all. That's not good enough for Gaddafi. After he hung the protesters, he made April 7th, the day they were hung, a national holiday. Imagine, every year in your country, you're reminded that people who protest against Gaddafi, they get hung. Well, my rant is getting a little long, so I think that's it for now. Please go talk to a Libyan. Ask them what they think. Ask them about the protests in Libya, what they've heard from their families. Ask them these first-hand accounts. You don't have to believe CNN. You don't have to believe BBC. You don't have to believe any of that. Go talk to somebody. Get first-hand account of what happened. What's going on right now in Tripoli. So signing off, my fellow CIA operatives. I'll catch y'all later.